came. Woo! I know. So I don't know how tonight's going to go because I'm used to crying before I come here. So I'm kind of like, I don't quite know how to do this. I know. I don't know. Just sometimes life just hits you. And tonight I want to talk about something that is very near and dear to my heart. And that is God is not just a Bible character. Now, that may sound really weird, but we sometimes treat God as if he is just a character in this book. Like we look at Daniel, we're like, well, now I'm just dropping things. We look at Daniel, we're like, that's a really great story, but how does that impact me? It should. But sometimes we look at God and we think of him as just part of the Bible. Not necessarily, I'm going to trip on that if I don't move it, not necessarily who he really is. And so I kind of want to do a dive into who God is in my life and share that with you. Okay? So hold on. It's going to be okay. A couple of you got a little nervous. I can see Pastor Troy got very nervous, like, okay, here we go. But I really want to talk about this for me. First of all, we all know God is love, right? But really, what does that mean? Because the word love has kind of been diluted because of our humanness. And I think that that's so important because we look at him as like God the Father. And those of us that don't have great fathers can be like, that's not really a bonus, right? And when we look at love, we look at like kind of like a physical, like that person, I love them, or I love my child, or I love burritos. We have really diluted who God is, and God is love. So that is the basis of this entire next 15, 20 minutes, all right? So we're going to go back to a time that when I was a little kid. And my first point is God is not an Avon lady. Now, anybody remember Avon ladies? My mom was an Avon lady for 28 years. She's going to correct me when she listens to this later. And my mom was not a pushy Avon lady, but I was. So she would give me the job of going around the neighborhood, and every person that took a book, I got a penny. And you have to know that I hustled for my penny. Like, there was no way that I wasn't going to ring and knock on your door when I knew there was a lady in there that would take my Avon book. And if they called, I didn't even get any more money. But that's okay. Like, I was full in. I was like, you know what? Avon was about being face to face. And my mom was one of the most amazed. Like, she was the top, like, president of like all these people. Like, she won awards left and right. I think she was in like top 10% of Avon at one point. Like, she could sell ice to an Eskimo. Like, there was nothing. And then my father was also a salesperson. So at one point, they are vacuum salespeople. And to this day, my mom still hates a non-rainbow because they used to sell this vacuum called a rainbow. And she would walk into a house, perfect strangers, and they would spend thousands of dollars. That was the house I grew up in. I grew up in a very sales-orientated thing. And sometimes we put God in that same category, that God is pushy. And God is like, I have an agenda here. He's going to jump in. And you know what? What I have found is that God is a gentleman. God is not going to push you into things that you're not comfortable with. He will wait for you to be ready. And I think when you realize that God is like, hey, I'm waiting for you. Come on, we got a good plan here. And he's not going to manipulate. He's not going to lie. He is just going to wait for you to see the truth. And I love that because we do not live in a world that you can honestly believe anything. I don't know many people that aren't manipulating and lying and trying to, if I watch another reel on social media about this miracle drug, right? God doesn't need miracle drugs. He is a gentleman. And I just absolutely love that. In fact, when you get down to Matthew 4, Jesus calls his first disciples here. As Jesus is walking along beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon called Peter and his brother Andrew. They were casting their nets into the lake, for they were fishermen. I know this is really great stuff, guys. Come follow me, Jesus said, and I will send you out to fish for people. Now, here's what I love about this. Jesus did not say, okay, so here's the plan. If you follow me, I will make you rich. He didn't lay out a plan. He said, hey, come follow me. You have a choice. Just come follow me. He made it simple. He made it easy. He did not manipulate. And I love that that's the God we serve. We serve a God who does not give us a guilt complex, but he's persistent and he never gives in. It's never my way or God's way. Like, I have my way and it never quite works out. And God's like, just waiting for you to come back and figure out that that's not how you do it, Jen. And I'm like, oh, that's right. God is constantly a gentleman. And if he's not that in your life, I really want you to take some time this week and think about God being a gentleman in your life. Number 2, steady. God is not wishy-washy. Now, I got to tell you, once again, I don't know many people. Kevin is not wishy-washy, but there are not many people in life that are not like, I don't really know how I feel about that, because it kind of matters on, like, what's happening, and we live in a very wishy-washy world. Food changes, the word of a word meaning changes. Back when I was a kid, bad was bad. Now it's good. I don't even know what's going on. Like, words change, our laws change, our family definitions of family have changed, even Bible translations have changed. But the one thing that has not changed is God. The old saying is, the only thing that's for sure is death and taxes. And those are the two things we're desperately always trying to get out of. Change is just a huge part of our world, and God never changes. And I think that we forget that sometimes. I think that we forget that the God of Genesis is still the God of today. The God of Matthew, Mark, Luke, Acts is still the God of today. I love when you were talking about our prayers. God covets time with us, and that has not changed. His character has not changed. In Hebrews 13:8, it says, Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And I quote that verse almost every day, because I have to remember that what God is here is still what God is today. God is still a God of miracles. He is still a God who loves me. He is still a God that is a gentleman and is not going to break his way in. But what does that really mean? What does it really mean that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever? And in Malachi 3:6, it says, I, the Lord, do not change. What it means is that God doesn't change his plans when you mess up. God doesn't go, well, they messed up, I better figure out a new plan. God has a plan, and you're not going to be the one that takes that plan away. God's plan is still there. He knew you were going to mess up, and that's okay. God didn't wake up today and go, let's try something new. I do that every day. My husband is such a planner, and I love that about him. But today we were talking about what November is going to look like. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing this afternoon. I'm really loosey-goosey and kind of just like life just kind of flies at me. That's not how God works. God doesn't wake up in the morning and go, what should I do today? He has a plan. And it doesn't matter what circumstances you're in, how the laws change, or how other people's opinions change, how your attitude or your mistakes, he is consistent. I love Jeremiah 29:11. It is one of my life verses. I think it's many of our life verses. But what I love about that verse is, for I know the plans I have for you. And then it goes on to talk about a future and a hope and all those fabulous things. But what I hold on to is, I know I have a plan for you. And if you hear nothing else tonight, God is steady and does not change, and his plan for you is consistent. He wants good things for you. No matter how much you've messed up, no matter how much you've lost your way, he doesn't go, oh, now I don't know what to do. He's still got a plan, and he loves you. Number 3, God is just. I hate being the bad guy. It is my least favorite thing on the planet. My husband's the bad guy. I'm the nice one. I'm like, honey, would you like ice cream? My husband's like, more vegetables. Like, that's our role, okay? My husband's like, have you eaten your vegetables today? And I'm like, oh, we can eat green ice cream. It's okay. Like, that's kind of, it's the truth. I wish I weren't. But I have been somebody that, like, rules are just kind of part of my life. And yes, there are natural consequences to rules. Because if you eat something gross, you normally feel gross. If you don't stop at a stop sign, you will get pulled over. Yes, that's me. Really, you stay up late, you're going to be tired. There are natural consequences. And honestly, for me, I did not understand God being just until I became a parent. I really didn't. I did not understand that love and rules, or his justness, really go hand in hand. Because here's the thing. I have a 19-year-old now, and if I don't teach her what I believe is true, which is this, someone else will. You're going to go through life and you're going to learn things, and if I don't teach her what's right and wrong according to this word, she's going to learn it from somebody else. If I don't teach her what the birds and bees are, she's going to die of embarrassment if she hears this. If I don't teach her what the birds and bees are and what consequences there are if you don't do it properly, someone else will teach her, and it will not be the way that this word is. And that's what God does. God has this for us to follow, and he sets up boundaries and he sets up rules because he wants us to be able to live properly. Right? He's not like, I don't want you to do that because I like to watch you suffer. That's not what we do as parents. We don't say eat your vegetables because we want to see them feel sick. We do it because we know it's going to make them feel better. Right? I don't eat very many vegetables, and that's okay. I'll get there when I grow up someday. But the rules are there to help us grow and be better people. And I love that God is consistent, like we just talked about, and his rules are consistent too. And if we go into the word and we find the rules, love your neighbor as yourself. That's a hard verse for me. I'm going to just say it right now. This is not in my notes, and I'm sorry. But love your neighbor as yourself is one of the hardest verses in the whole Bible. Because first of all, I have to love myself. And that's not an easy thing to do. But to love my neighbor when I'm like, do you see all the rules are breaking? It's really hard. But God sets up rules so we can find his love. The fourth thing, I almost lost that. Fourth thing is God is fearless. He is not a scaredy cat. I am scared of everything. Let's just be real. I'm scared of heights. I'm scared of spiders. I'm scared of being outside. I am probably one of the most fearful people you will ever meet. And that is just being completely, like, genuinely honest with you. And I love that God is not afraid. He's not afraid. He is not afraid of your anger. He is not afraid of your mistakes. He is not afraid of who's leading our country and our world. He's not afraid of technology. He's not afraid of anything that's happening right now. He's not going, oh man, I really wish that could get under control. He's not afraid. He's not Jennie, where I'm over here full of anxiety. Things are out of control. He's going, I'm not afraid of this. God has no reason to fear because you know what? He is not surprised by anything that's happening right now. He's not afraid of your mistakes. He's not afraid of your anger. And I love that my husband talks about this, and I hope he preaches on this actually. Because the one place in life that you can be the most authentic and real is in your prayer life. You have to be able to take your little mask off that we wear for everybody else and say, I am really ticked with you right now, Lord. And this is probably the last week I preach here. But, take off your mask and say, God, do you see what's happening right now? I was sitting in we call it a lounge. It's actually a teeny tiny little closet, but kind of room. And I was sitting there and I'm like, Lord, do you see what's happening right now? Are you seriously not going to step in sometime? Because this is getting a little out of control. And I just let him have all of my emotions. I just spilled them all out. I was crying. I was laughing. I was angry. I was sad. Where you can be the most authentic and real is in the presence of God because God is not afraid of it. He's not going to come down and go, because I grew up in church, right? I grew up under the pews. We were there every Sunday morning, Sunday school, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Tuesday for prayer, Wednesday and Friday connect groups. And I wasn't going to miss a moment because then God might strike me with lightning. That's not who God is. God wants us to be authentic and real. And the only way you can do that is by understanding that God is not afraid. He is not afraid of anything. And honestly, he's not disappointed in you. And I think someone in this room needs to hear that tonight. God is not disappointed in where you are. He's not going, you really could be a little bit further along. Because how often do you hear that? I heard it at work every day. You hear it in your own head. If I really ate my vegetables, I might be a little healthier. God's not disappointed in me. He is constantly loving me where I am. And the minute you understand that, there's freedom. There's freedom in knowing that God loves you just where you are. And number 5, we may even get done early tonight, guys. Woo, look at this. I see the joy that's happening. I love it. God knows where to go for dinner. Now, that may sound really weird, but God has all the answers. Now, the one thing I've already talked about, I hate are spiders. I hate roller coasters. But honestly, the thing I hate more than anything is choosing where to eat for dinner. I hate choosing a place for dinner. So if you meet with me and I tell you that I think we're going to Dunn Brothers, if I say that, that is a miracle of God that I have chosen a place. I do not like making choices because you know what? I'm always going to be wrong. If we're at Target, I'm choosing Target instead of Walmart because I need that emotionally. If we're at Target and there's a long line and I choose one, it's always the wrong one. I am always in the line that all of a sudden the cashier is like, 5 minutes, I'll be back, and they just leave. That's just the way life is. I am so bad at those kind of things. But God knows all things. God knows all the reviews of that restaurant. He knows who's cooking. He knows how fresh the food is. He knows all the ingredients. And he knows who you're going to be sitting with. And he knows who's serving you and how healthy they are. Because how often have I gone to a restaurant and gone, should you be working right now? God knows those things. So if I can allow God to choose my restaurants, which I wish he would, I wish there was a God board that I was like, God, where should I go tonight? He just pointed out. That would be great. But what if we actually went to the God of the universe who knows all things and went, God, what should we do? What restaurant should we go to? What job should I be applying for? What prayers do you want me to be praying for my neighbor? What things do you want me to be doing in the church? Instead of going, hey, you know what? I really am okay not doing anything. Maybe you need to go before the Lord and say, Lord, what do you want me to be doing? Because you know what? When he speaks, and we talked about that last week, and I think you're talking about it on Sunday still. When God speaks, and he's the one that knows all things, and you take a minute to listen and step into what he says, it's never bad. Now, as a parent, I have had this happen that I tend to know more at that, not anymore. I mean, now she's 19 and she knows all things, right? Which I appreciate. She's now in Bible college and really could preach me under the table. Like, she's putting together her sermon. She preaches in a couple weeks. And she was like, Mom, what do you think of this? And I was like, can I steal that? Like, she's just, but when she was little, I could amaze her. I would be like, well, this test that you're about to take, I bet it's not going to be as hard as you think it's going to be. Oh, Mom, it's going to be a nightmare. You just cannot even believe it. They told us all about it. It's going to be such a nightmare. I've seen the test. In fact, I was part of putting the test together. I know how easy it is. I know all the answers, and I know she knows all the answers, but she doesn't know that I know it all, right? And she doesn't trust me. She's like, Mom, you don't know. You don't understand. And I'm like, but no, I've actually seen the test. I've seen the answers. I actually know. And we do that all the time with God. We do that all the time with him. We're like, but Lord, do you see this? Like, have you seen the full picture here? Like, this person is really annoying. This person is like, Lord, come on now. And he's like, no, I actually do see that, but I also see everything else. I remember when I was working at a school and I was there and I was crying in my car every single day. Okay. And I'm a crier. Like, you now know that. I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. I cry when I'm hungry. Like, I just cry. So I'm in my car and I'm crying and I'm like, Lord, fire them. Get rid of them. Like, this person is driving me absolutely insane and they're trying to break the rules. And don't you see this? I just remember, like, how many times I sat in the car, like, Lord, don't you see this? And he's like, I have a plan. Well, could you tell me what it is? Like, and all I heard was, I have a plan. I have a plan. I have a plan. And I'm like, this plan better be to fire A, B, and C, because this is ridiculous. And all of a sudden, one day I am at a Toby Mac concert, and I don't remember what his name was, and he sang this song about being in the hills and valleys. You know that song, Hills and Valleys? I can't sing. Hills and Valleys, God's the God of the hill and the valley. And I remember very distinctly, I'm at this huge concert, and God was like, you're on the hilltop right now. Hold on. And I went, what? What do you mean, hold on? The next day, I got an email from my boss, and he was like, thank you so much for your 16 years at this school. Your job has now been eliminated. And I went, what? Like, I got an email? Okay, and my job's been eliminated? So here I am going, Lord, fire this person, fire that person, get rid of this person. And God's like, no, my plan is really you. We're going to move you on out. And I'm telling you, that is when you have to go back to who God really is. Those are the moments that you go back to, my God is gracious. My God is steady. My God is not afraid of this email. My God is just, and my God knows what's going on. Because I never would have quit that job. In fact, I feel like God actually told me a year before that to quit, and I was like, I pay the bills. Because at that point, Kevin was doing this ministry thing part-time, and I was paying the bills. I had the insurance. I made all the money. Like, that was just the way life was. And he was doing this little side hobby, and that's what he jokes about. I felt like it was a bigger deal than that. But I made triple what he was making. And now 6 years later, we both do this full time. Because God saw the full picture. He knew it all. And I just want you today to think, where have you underestimated God in your life? Where in your life have you forgotten that God is gracious? Where in your life have you forgotten that He's steady, the same yesterday, today, and forever? Where have you forgotten that He's fearless and that He's not afraid of your mistakes or your anger or your frustration with Him? Where have you forgotten that His rules are there for a reason, not just to be set to the side and used when it's convenient or you're teaching little kids, but they're there for us to keep us safe? And you need to remember that God is the one with all the answers. He sees the big plan. It may not feel like it right now. You may be looking around going, I hope this is not the plan, Lord. But I can guarantee that if you continue to seek after Him and figure out who He is in your life and continue to learn how to listen to Him, that even a year from now, you're going to be able to look back and go, wow, God really had a better plan than I did. Because my plan was they get booted. God's plan was, no, Jennie gets booted. And I am so much more relaxed and a nicer person than I was back then. God had a better plan. So I just want to take a quick moment when we close. I'm done. We're going to close. But I just want to take a quick moment and everybody close their eyes. And just I'm going to say a quick prayer, but I really pray that this week that this sinks in for you. God knows our heart. And He loves us no matter what's inside. Lord, I just come before you tonight and I just ask you to show us who you are in a new way. No matter where we are on the journey, if we've been following you for a month or if we've been following you for 50 or 60 years, Lord, I pray that you show us a new side of you. Lord, that we would learn more and more about you and continue to hear your voice. Because as we hear your voice and we move towards it and we follow you, we have good things. And Lord, I just pray tonight for that person that feels like they're disappointed. You're disappointed in them. Lord, I just pray that you would come into that space and bring love. Bring your peace and your joy and your love into that part that they're like, but the Lord, He knows it all and He's seen all my mistakes and He's just putting up with me. And I want you to fill that with your love tonight, Lord Jesus. In my own life, in the areas that I've fallen short and I feel like I'm not good enough, Lord, I just pray that you would fill it with your love and your joy. Thank you for a God who is the same yesterday, today, and forever.